Okay, good day, good evening, good morning. Happy New Year to all of our audience and dear Dandelions. So, this is our Dandelion Reflections podcast, co hosted by Christopher Arthursson and myself, Caroline Giroux. Welcome, everyone. We're very excited to start this new year with you. Today's January 3rd. It's going to be released maybe in a couple of weeks. But regardless, it's still going to apply that we wish each other a happy new year filled with peace and light, right? So we're happy that you're joining us today. We have an interesting topic, at least for many people we know, and it's about how the ego makes us hold on to beliefs and how it interferes with our expansion and our growth. So we will look at that together, Christopher and I, and try to deconstruct that and why is that and what can we do about that. So welcome, Christopher. Good morning. Happy New Year. Good evening.
Thank you so much, Colleen. Thank you so much for this wonderful introduction. And I'm sure it's going to be, at least for us, a wonderful and exciting and interesting topic. And I hope we can reach one or the other out there that also agrees with us that this is very interesting to,
Mhm.
together just put some light on how our ego functions and how our ego does not always do what's best for
Mhm.
us or for others.
Right.
No matter what the intention is, we sometimes are out there and against better knowledge make stupid decisions, don't we? And
Yeah.
since both of us, you and I, have kids in teenage
Mhm.
teenagers we know, and we have been teenagers ourselves a
Yes.
long time ago. And we know that we didn't always take the best decisions. Of course, at that time, that was because our brain was not fully developed,
Correct.
uh, as many of as you and I and many of our audience know. uh, the teenage brain cannot really fully understand the consequences of their actions. Is that correct? Did I
Yes.
remember that correctly?
You said it very well. And our teenagers have an excuse. However, into adulthood, we do not have this excuse. So we have to look at what does that and what can we do to overcome that. And that's why
Hmm.
we're talking about the ego, right?
Right.
Um, so this solidified, however, structure, solidified but illusion kind of structure in our minds that also make us perpetuate um, patterns that are not helpful for ourselves. So in teenager years, in adolescence, we experiment and everything is kind of fluid and we're exploring. However, into adulthood, the ego becomes more, writing the show and we need to look at it in the face and yeah, and take ownership for yeah, what it told us to do. And that was not necessarily the right thing. So yeah. That's why we're going to have this discussion today. Yeah.
Yes. So I think one of the topics where you have most, or one of the areas where you have very good insight on, is the area of science, and
Hmm.
how can our ego stand in the way for good decisions in science?
Yes. So I'm really interested in consciousness as a psychiatrist and as a human being, right? In general. And it's interesting how medicine is so behind in terms
Mm,
of understanding consciousness. And I would say science in general. Um, People tend to think that our brains produce consciousness. However, there's strong evidence showing the contrary. For instance, that it's actually consciousness that produces our brains and our physical bodies, right? So we are coming from the universe, from consciousness, and consciousness takes form in our physical bodies. And when the body dies, consciousness is just released in the broader consciousness. So it doesn't die. So there are phenomena that people have experienced, even such as near death experiences, showing that even when the brain is dead, there's no brain activity, there is still consciousness. The consciousness of the person has experiences and can narrate them once being brought back in their bodies. And it's actually very compelling evidence. They will talk about their loved ones' conversation in the cafeteria of the hospital. Well, there was no way that they could have known unless their consciousness that had left their body was able to access that. So that's just very one striking example. It's been repeated over the world and without people talking to each other. So that's one example, but there are countless examples like that. So we have to shift our thinking. And why is it so hard to shift our thinking? It's because people identify with their beliefs. They were conditioned to think that no, the brain produces consciousness and maybe it will affect their livelihood if, or they think it will affect their livelihood, their jobs, their careers, if they start believing no, 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 in fact it's the other way around. So that's the danger of the ego, because we identify with our beliefs. We think we are our beliefs, and therefore if someone challenges our beliefs, we feel attacked. So that's why the ego is so resistant to welcome new ideas.
Wow. Just in this, what you just said, there, thousands of new doors opened up, and I would love to look behind each and every one of them. And
Yes.
near-death experiences, organ donation popped up
Mm-hmm.
into my
Oh
mind.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, because there are many discussions about that. What happened? How can people
Mm.
see the doctors opening up their body? And
Yes.
however, uh,
Yes, you're correct. Mm-hmm.
without not taking us too far away from this very interesting topic, um, uh, ego. Okay, let me see.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happens with me. I apologize to
Don't.
everyone listening.
No,
I
you
had this
don't, because
wonderful idea and thread, and so there's like 10 threads in my uh,
mm-hmm.
head right now, and I lost this one that wouldn't.
Yeah.
However, uh, let me try to catch it. So um, this this wanting to
Mm-hmm.
have, oh yeah, here it is. I got it back. Wanting to hold on to what we were so convinced of before,
Mm-hmm.
um, and letting this go. There's this function in our brain that prevents us from changing our belief system, changing uh,
Yeah.
a path, um,
Mm-hmm.
changing a behavior, because this is something, this has been something in like, I don't know, 100,000, 50,000 years ago, where this actually was dangerous for us. So our brain, which is still not very, hasn't really developed since then a lot, keeps us from doing that because it perceives it as a danger for us.
Mm-hmm.
So this is really in this fast-paced world where
Yeah.
developments go as fast as never before.
Yes.
This can be a hinder, a real problem for us for development.
Yeah, because it prevents us from taking in new information
Hmm.
and adjusting course to adapt. And you have a great example that I would like for you to share, if you don't mind,
Which
that
one
you
was
just
that?
shared about the okay, get their get their itis.
Oh yeah, right, that one. All right. So I love to watch these air traffic disaster shows.
Oh, okay.
Because not because it's so nice to see what happens to the people, but
Mhm.
the when they try to understand what actually happened, this detective search, the where the people from the people that really understand airplanes and everything
Mhm.
and human behavior also,
Yes.
when they try to understand what did go wrong, who did have the wrong decision, where was the wrong
Mhm.
decision made. So what they came up with is sometimes pilots or humans, everyone,
Mhm.
not only pilots, tend to hold on to a decision
Yeah.
even though they have facts all around them that tell them,
Mhm.
maybe you should not go this way. Maybe you should think again. Maybe you should
Mhm.
go another path. And so this phenomenon is called continuation bias. And
Mhm.
according to this information that I have here, it's also called get there itis.
Yeah. Yes.
So we have this plan, we have this goal, we want to, go home and you're just and I don't know, a half an hour from your destination airport, and
Mhm.
you get into trouble with the airplane, and you just want to go home. You don't really do
Mhm.
what you should do to save the airplane,
Yeah.
or also many traffic accidents, which I also
Yeah.
read just a few weeks ago. Many traffic accidents actually happen around 1 mile
Mhm.
around your home.
Oh my gosh, fascinating. That, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
And because you get, oh, I'm home soon. I can
Yeah.
take my guards down, and you
Yeah.
tend to go faster. You tend to wander off in your brain. You're not concentrated any longer.
Mm.
And uh, and this
Mhm.
happens also with machinery. If you're
Mhm.
in charge of heavy machinery, and I've done this thousands of times, so it will also be the same thing the
Mhm.
1001st time, and all of a sudden that's where the bad stuff happens. And this is, I'm sure we could find thousands
Mhm.
of places that where we
Mhm.
can prove that this is wrong, right, and this is actually a thing. So what's
Yes.
common with all these is it's
Mhm.
our ego, right?
Yes. Yes, and I think based on what you're saying, it just occurred to me that I think one of the mechanisms is because the ego cannot tolerate doubt,
Mm,
cannot tolerate being questioned, right? Because yeah, imagine a pilot being told, okay, there's this kind of there are the weather conditions that will make the landing there impossible. So it means like, oh, I have to doubt my decision to proceed with my initial plan.
mm,
So the doubt is probably unbearable for the ego, and therefore the ego prefers to ignore it and yeah, proceed. I think there are a variety of factors, but I think maybe the doubt, the ambiguity,
mm,
these are states that are really difficult to cope with because the ego is very cookie cutter, binary, yes or
hmm.
no,
Yeah,
right? Rigid. We
that's a
talked
very
about
nice example, a cookie cutter. Yeah, right. I love that.
yeah,
Hmm.
yes. And so we need to befriend that, right, Christopher? We need to just retrain our brains to be more open and take in the new information and always be
Mm,
alert and bring ourselves back in the moment. Because when you say you're 1 mile from home, but people who get into an accident, they're already at their home in their
hmm.
head. No, we need to be in the road right now, right
Yes.
this moment. Yeah.
And if it's okay for you, I'd like to share a personal experience.
Yes, absolutely.
Um, Many years ago, for many years, I somehow attracted uh, conflicts all the time, and I found myself in conflicts with people around me, and I it looked like me as if I was this I don't know, shit magnet. Uh, and I'm sorry,
You're
excuse my
not.
speech.
No, you're not that. But yeah, I know what you mean.
I didn't have a better word right now, but I think it describes it very
Mm-hmm.
well. And then um, together with our dear friend Uncle Bill,
Mm.
anyone that is listening to this here and has not met Dr. Bill yet, he was a guest of ours in two episodes ago, I think it was.
Yes.
Highly recommended episode, really. However,
Yes.
we had these talks, and he banged on my ego door all the time, over and a session and over session, again
Mhm.
and again. What if
Mhm.
you're wrong? Well, he didn't say that. He didn't,
Mhm.
but that's basically what he wanted to tell me. But I didn't want to listen
Mhm.
because I held on to my belief system. No,
Yeah.
it's not me. It's them. It's them. I'm the victim here. And
Mm.
until one fine day it clicked, and I
Mhm.
thought, what if I'm wrong? And
Mhm.
this what if I'm wrong? This should
Mhm.
be,
Yeah.
we should all uh, um, have these sit back just for 2 minutes, once a
Yeah.
week or once a day, and
Mhm.
question ourselves. That's a
Yeah.
wonderful training, actually, because until since then, I have gone over to this a standard question. Is this really true? And I have this. This is it's
Mhm.
not my own idea. It's of course it's Uncle Bill's idea. Uh,
Mhm.
questioning my own thoughts. It doesn't always work well, and I sometimes forget to do that. I'm just a human, as we all are. But
Mhm.
having this as a standard, questioning our
Mhm.
thoughts about a situation where we suddenly get angry or suddenly see our ego threatened or suddenly feel questioned,
Yeah.
and why is that? And so finally,
Yes.
back to the topic. I'm sorry, but
No,
like
that's
in
great.
science, you have these
Mhm.
wonderful and very intelligent people that have
Yeah. Mhm.
accomplished so
Mhm.
many wonderful things, and
Yeah.
suddenly there's this newcomer, this new kid on the block that comes with new evidence and questions
Mhm.
what you have worked for all these years, and suddenly you think,
Mhm.
oh no, I have to defend myself here.
Yes.
But is that how? This is how progress functions, right? We wouldn't have progress when we would
Mhm.
have do the same thing over and over again for
Yes.
decades.
Otherwise, science becomes an echo chamber. It
Yeah.
just keeps repeating the same pseudo beliefs or laws or whatever, laws of nature, and it doesn't lead us anywhere. What do we want ultimately? Do we want progress? Do we want to get closer to the truth, or we just want to repeat the same things because it comforts us, it gives
Hmm.
us reassurance that we are legitimate or that we are relevant in our field? I find that actually very dangerous when I see people like having a specific um, pathology associated with their title. Even I'm myself, I am often like considered a trauma expert or trauma psychiatrist. I feel very uncomfortable with that
Hmm.
because I feel like I want trauma to be prevented, to be healed. I don't want that attached to my name because that would mean, you know what I mean? I don't want to cling onto that
Right.
reality. Okay. So just, and there are countless of other examples, whether someone says schizophrenia, chair of research, da, 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 like,
Hmm.
well, once we find out the cure, I mean, I'm afraid that it creates some sabotaging unconsciously of getting to
Right.
the truth,
Mm-hmm.
because people will think, oh my gosh, who will I be once I no longer have that title attached to my name? So I really feel like letting go of labels might be a very good first preparatory step
Yes.
to no longer holding on to beliefs that are false, that are erroneous, that are limited.
Mm-hmm.
So I really feel like it's reminding ourselves of expanding. The goal is expansion and evolution. So yeah, but otherwise, yeah, people get so caught up in the storyline of themselves, they identify with a role, which is the world of form, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being a scientist is the world of form. What do we want? We all live in sciences. We are all science,
Yes.
and it's so we shouldn't feel threatened that, okay, maybe I won't have that kind of role as a researcher because we'll solve that problem. There will be something else,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So yeah, I find that very interesting, and I think people need to really pause and really look at their relationship with their beliefs.
Relationship with their beliefs. I love that.
Mm, yeah, because beliefs,
Questioning. Yes.
mhm,
I'm
they
sorry.
don't define us, right? They should
Right.
not. And
Right.
I make that so much. I mean, I just realized for myself as well. Like there are things that I resist doing because I have this belief, but once I challenge the belief or I let go, then I'm free
Mm-hmm.
to reassess a situation and do things differently. I change my approach, and yeah, so it's fascinating, and it's very important more than ever, like because there's so much polarization in our world right now, as you know, and people feel like, what if I start looking at ways the other side's looking at it, oh my gosh, but no, they will prefer to stay in their position that's completely oblivious to reality
Right.
and truth, and then can continue damage. Yeah.
You know what? You know what?
No.
Again, it's what again came up in my tombola brain.
I
Somehow
like it.
I got this idea of the what's it called again? I only know the German word right now. The medieval times. There it was.
The Crusades, or don't know.
Uh, the times when they thought, oh, all of these women that are so
Which ones?
knowledgeable, exactly, that are so knowledgeable, that have this
Mhm.
abilities to see things, that
Mhm.
know
Yeah.
uh, about herbal
Yeah.
tinctures and treatments,
Mhm.
and somewhere some people felt threatened by that,
Mhm. Yes.
and um, so what the best plan they had at that time was to kill
Mhm.
them in horrible ways. So somewhere, someone must have felt threatened.
Yeah. Yeah. And we know who that is. It's the patriarchy, right?
Yes, exactly.
Mhm. Yes. And
And if we
mhm.
go even, well, maybe it was about the same time. I'm not sure yet. Uh, but you and I know that uh, the traditional medicine that came from China, India, over
Yeah.
to uh, to
Mhm.
Persia, what is today called Iran,
Yeah.
um, they were way advanced
Mhm.
to to what we in Europe called medicine at that time. We were there were crude methods
Mhm.
that we thought was the best thing and the
Mhm.
newest methods, and they were so much better. And then
Mhm.
all of a sudden we had this. Well, in Europe, we what is it? The what is it called? The modern medicine, the
Mhm.
Schulmedizin in German.
Western. Yeah,
World
westernized.
medicine, westernized, yeah. And
Mhm.
it's
Yeah,
if you compare it, we don't know anything about what they knew. All this knowledge, we just cut it off. We just
right.
we cut it off when we in under the witch hunts.
Yes.
We threw so much knowledge overboard, and so did we when we when we thought, oh, the uh, the Oriental medicine is nothing we want to look at. We have our better, we have something better here, which is in fact not better, which was not better, never was.
No.
So, well, what I want to say with this is even that I would see as one of the one example that
Mhm.
we have our ego threatened and throw away a lot of very interesting, very important knowledge and input.
Yes, yes. People in the name of their egos will prefer to see the human race perish
Hmm.
by killing all its women and
Hmm.
then witch hunt than just revising their beliefs. It's as crazy as that. Ego is just a delusional, dysregulated creation of our minds that we absolutely need to look at and let go of and
Hmm.
laser beam. And so, yeah, what you're saying is like whatever is mysterious, ambiguous, like women or certain women knowing how to care for people or accompanying the death and also bringing babies to this world. So being at the portals of life, like
Hmm.
and in the beginning and end, it feels scary for structures who want to control everything, but
Hmm.
we can't control, as you know, right? We cannot control, and we have to
Hmm.
let go of that illusion that we can control. So yeah, it's still an issue to this day. People really attacking societies that are have an ancient wisdom, but that's threatening to the structures they've established that
Hmm.
are based on ego, that are based on scarcity mindset, that are based on power, division, etc. Yeah.
So if I have power, let's say I am in a position of power, if I try to understand this person in position
Hmm.
of power, uh, I tend those persons, those people tend to hold on to their power and defend it, right?
Hmm.
Because no one wants to give away power,
Hmm.
unfortunately, because and it's very important to do that once in a while, just
Hmm.
to get some new
Hmm.
colors into whatever we do.
Yeah.
Well,
The,
what is this also something that is in the same sphere as the ego?
Yeah, I mean, I think the ego, the power, when we talk about power, I think it's good to have our own power, being empowered, having
Hmm.
power for and with rather than against. So with the
Hmm.
ego, it's power against. It's like with the ego, it's a zero sum game, right? Oh, if you have power, that means I don't. That means I have to steal the power from you, kind of,
Oh,
right?
right.
Yeah,
Hmm.
scarcity mindset. But we know that life's not like that. We know life is abundant. We know
Hmm.
that loving someone um, doesn't prevent you from loving someone else. We know that someone we care about being loved by others doesn't take anything away from the love we give that person, you know? So,
Yes.
but somehow the ego will think that someone has something that means they don't have it, they have to steal it,
Hmm.
or it's just very, it works like kind of a zero sum game, you know?
Hmm.
But life is not like that. So, but yeah, power, we as we empower others, we empower ourselves and vice versa, but not trying to steal power, not trying to oppress. But that's what the ego does. It works through oppression and
Hmm.
um, yeah, it's hierarchical too. So something always needs to be superior, and it's about measuring and assessing and putting a value, or it's the world of form.
Hmm.
These are concepts we created. These are frameworks that our mind created, but are not life. They're not the science, the real science. We didn't create science. right? Science was there all along, the
Right.
galaxies, the universe. We just try to put concepts and formulas to explain something, you know?
Now let me challenge you here, if that's okay for you.
Yes, I love that. I welcome that. Shatter my beliefs, please. Free me from them.
There has been a time where science told us that the Earth was flat.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's another example of how science can be very wrong. What we need to know is that's the role of science, to revise its position, taking into account new data sets, new
Hmm.
information. And this is what you're talking about, is actually an example that's mentioned in the book I'm reading, and
Right.
then to upside down thinking. So yeah, science is slow to catch up. That's
Right.
why there are phenomena we can't explain. I have patients who will tell me, I knew this would be happening, but then I was told I was crazy or delusional. No, some people
Hmm.
have what we call precognitive abilities.
Oh,
But
wow.
is that really precognitive when you foresee the future? It's because the future doesn't exist. It's all in one. Past, present, future, it's all in one bunch. We already know everything about life. We already have this inner knowing
Hmm.
of all of life. But somehow it's threatening to think that, or to think differently than the linear thinking of linear form of time. So we prefer to say people who are experiencing that are anomalies, and there's something wrong with them. But no, they are maybe actually super perceptive beings.
Hmm.
And what if science is not able to pinpoint the mechanism yet, because our methods of measurement are imperfect? There are so many cases or examples in medicine of illnesses that cannot be detected with the current imaging. But eventually, as the imaging becomes like more refined and better resolution, then we can identify or find disease earlier, at earlier stages. But often what we see is people will have clinical symptoms before we can actually detect that. But we say this person's crazy because we can't detect that doesn't exist. No, our systems of measurement or diagnosing are still imperfect, or still have not caught up with life, with the way things happen.
Yeah. That reminds me of this room that I think we've talked about that earlier. When people have different opinions, and what they
Mhm.
actually do is they're looking into the same room through different windows, right? They all see the same
Yes,
room, but
yes.
they miss some
Mhm.
details that someone looking through
Mhm.
the window to the right there is
Yeah.
seeing. They and or
Yeah.
the on the other side of the room. So it's very interesting that we want to see we see what we want to see.
Mhm.
Um, oh,
Yeah, we
uh,
see what we want to believe too,
exactly. Thank you.
right?
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, we see,
Uh-huh.
we hear, we take in what we want to believe. This
Yeah,
confirmation bias here, we have
exactly.
another bias. Uh, that
Yes.
and it's also the same thing. Oh, here's another thought. Oh, um, if I feel sad, if I feel down, if I feel
Mhm.
happy, then I tend to, or we humans tend to uh, put more focus on things that
Mhm.
confirm the mood that I am in right now. Right when we are down, when we are depressed,
Yeah.
everything's going down the drain.
Mhm.
Nothing is working. Everyone is against
Mhm.
us. And
Yeah.
and when we're happy, oh, look at this flower. Look at
Mhm.
the nice birds up there. Everyone at work is so nice, and the traffic is going
Yeah.
wonderfully today. Uh, and
Yeah.
you, when of course, when you're in a bad mood, nothing
Mhm.
like that happens, and that's normal. This is
Yeah.
just this is nothing that is good or bad. It is just how our brain works. And the
Mhm.
same thing goes
Yeah.
for science, I believe, right? We see
Mhm.
something. that challenges us and that we don't want to see it.
Hmm. Yes, exactly. It's maybe part of the path of least resistance because it's
Hmm.
like pulling at a thread. Oh yeah, there's more of that, more of the
Yeah,
negative stuff,
exactly.
you know,
Hmm.
but injecting some novelty, some sensation might stimulate the whole
Hmm.
experience, the whole vision, and make us evolve and expand. But yeah, what you're describing is very common. It's like a spiral, like whether it's a spiral of joy or sorrow. It's
Hmm.
important to look at it, to just notice it and actually say, hey, do I want to continue there? Because yeah, things are actually connected. And if I have a negative energy, I might attract more of
Hmm.
that. And I don't want to stay stuck there. So and do I have to believe that this is my nature? No, I'm feeling sad right now, but I don't even have to say I am or I am sadness. No, there is sadness. It's coming through me. It's one part of so many things. So, kind
Thank
of
you.
shifting the thinking and the self
Hmm.
talk too can
Yeah.
help us really stay open minded to the whole of life, to the whole experience of life.
Speaking of open-minded, here's
Hmm.
another thought. We have these ideas of whatever, let's say homosexuality.
Hmm. Hmm.
This is something that many people have absolutely no problems with, and some other people think it's the worst thing that can happen.
Hmm.
This is a threat to, I don't know,
Yeah.
humanity. So, but this is a belief system, and we want to hold on to this. We don't want to let this be challenged in like
Hmm.
in conservative um, uh, um, people with conservative ideas, and they don't want to even many of them don't even want to look at it. But what is the actual threat
Hmm.
for you individually? Not you personally, but
Right.
like what
Yeah.
is the and this is also a very interesting question, and
Hmm.
the the personal experience that I talked about earlier, that was also one of the questions I had to ask myself. What is the problem for me?
Hmm.
Why am I so engaged in this? Or why do I think this needs to be fixed? This needs to be addressed?
Hmm.
Why do I get so enraged in stuff that is happening outside of my
Hmm.
control? But I threw myself into this and wanted to control it, wanted to fix this problem because no one else cared. So it needed to be me, right? So coming back to homosexuality, what is the actual problem for me
Wow.
personally? Is it does it affect me if some
Yeah.
random person out there is homosexual? How does that affect me?
Right. It's a great question. I think one of my explanatory models for that one would be the what I would call packaged thinking.
Hmm.
So, we think certain ideas in packages, like, for instance, somehow someone planted in our heads that in order to have a normal standard life, you need to A, get married, have kids, da da da.
Hmm.
Okay, very stereotypical, but in order to get married, have kids, traditionally you needed a male and a female partner. So it maybe people cannot see that there might be variants to those ways
Hmm.
of life, right? The ego, I think, creates package thinking. Like, okay, this person is from this culture, therefore this person is religious, therefore that. And the ego does not like nuances,
Hmm.
does not like discernment. It just, again, cookie cutter, rigid. So I think that might be part of it.
Hmm.
I think that some other like psychoanalysts will say this is like this homophobia comes from your own tendencies. Well, maybe we all have tendencies. Maybe we all a little bit, but it's like there might be that, or there might be like it's just conditioning. Just someone told us that, and we start believing lies when they're repeated often enough to us,
Oh, yeah. There are
right?
many
You know,
examples for that in history.
in history and in media and in
Mm,
news all the time, right? It doesn't take much. It doesn't take
mm,
much because again, the mind, it likes comfort, likes familiarity,
yeah.
and doesn't like to have to revise or revisit. So I think that's one of my explanations is the package thinking. So maybe homosexuality like threatens the idea we have of something in our
Hmm.
minds, right? So I mean, in but then yeah, once we're open-minded, we realize no, this is an old, obsolete kind of way of thinking. It's and what is reality is a diversity, you know.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, it doesn't always need to be bad to think this way, to hold on to old beliefs. Of course, this can be good. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's uh, it's not always bad. It sometimes keeps us from dangerous
Mm-hmm.
behavior, but
Mm-hmm.
it can at the same time
Mm-hmm.
steer us into dangerous behavior. So
Yeah.
that's why it is not necessarily rigidly saying it's good or bad, but just question.
Right, exactly. Trying to move away again from that paradigm, good or bad, right or wrong, because that's the ego again talking. We could just welcome that with curiosity. Huh, let's
Hmm,
look at that without judgment, right?
right.
Oh, I have a problem with that way of thinking or being or living. Okay, not self-judging, but just looking at, okay, what is it that bothers me about that? And
Hmm.
how can I expand? So yeah, absolutely. We need to look at ourselves gently, you know?
Right.
We're all
And
learning. Learning. This is a school. Yeah.
yes, and it never ends.
No. Oh
And
no.
and now we can say it doesn't even end with death because we don't know what happens after death. We
We
will
don't.
continue to learn that there's
People will
much
take
more than we
over.
thought.
They'll grab the torch that we leave behind and they'll try to figure it out too after us, you
Right.
know? It's never ending, but it's always, I think, moving us in a direction towards
Hmm.
more and more awareness. Yeah. Yeah. That's
So, wrapping it up, I would, from my
yeah.
part, invite everyone that's
Yeah.
listening and watching to question themselves, question
Mhm.
what's happening around them,
Yes.
question people that they thought were leaders, questioning them once in a while too, and I think that's
Hmm.
very healthy. And again,
Hmm.
questioning themselves, and don't even believe what we said here today. Who knows
Hmm.
if it's right or wrong? We don't know.
Exactly. In 10 years, maybe we will say, oh no, that we were wrong, or we were not quite fully understanding or grasping, and that's okay. Right.
Right.
So, absolutely. I'm not attached to anything I said. If someone brings me proof of what I said is wrong, I will say, oh, okay. I'm curious. I want to know more. So,
Yeah.
yes, you're right. And
Well,
please subscribe this year if you want to have more insights and
yeah.
be part of that collective reflective process. We're
Right.
just here maybe as a voice for some people and as also a stimulator of new ideas and
Right.
processes, and it's a kind of a bi-directional thing. We want to receive comments as well, and we welcome feedback. So thank you for joining us, everyone. Thank you, Christopher.
Yes. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Caroline, for
Yes.
being a wonderful co-host as always,
Oh,
and
thank you.
for throwing around your thoughts and listening to my thoughts. And thanks everyone else out there to listening to our thoughts.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Happy New Year again. And
Yes,
we
Happy New
wish you
Year.
clarity so that the light can come in and peace, inner peace, everyone.
Right.
Be well.
Be well. Thank you and goodbye.
Goodbye. Tschüss.